G'day there guys, how bold is bold? For instance, I eat cereal with no milk and cream with no bagel. So on that note, welcome back to another episode of r/AmiTheA. I'm your host Markee. I hope you have a good day, night sleep. Whatever you're doing, tell me about it down in the comments and enjoy the show. Posted by user WeirdMountain6997. Titled, Am I the a-hole for calling my alcoholic sister a drunk housewife in front of her in-laws and friends? My mother is the bane of my existence. She had ortho surgery and was advised to stay with someone while she recovers since she is older and won't be able to get around, let alone to follow-up appointments, but she doesn't even drive. It's just me and my sister who live nearby. My mother is a pain in the ass. Literally, anytime I deal with her, she costs me time and money. I live with my 9-year-old son in a modest house. I told my mother she could stay with us while she recovers. The only issue is that I work and I am a single dad who has my son 24/7, so I'm all over the place. I can't tend to her and take her to appointments. I cannot be at 3 places at the same time: work, doctors, son stuff. And to my sister. She lives in a much larger house. She's about to divorce, so she has kids every other week. She doesn't work, and won't have to with the settlement that she's getting. Point being is that she is far more available than I am. I asked my sister if she could help out, namely with taking our mum to her appointments. That's it. She dragged her feet, saying she has a lot more on her plate. Granted, she just got out of rehab a couple months ago, but she's not busy. Her rehab is a touchy subject and the root of her divorce. On Wednesday, my sister asked me if I could pick up our mum from her appointment. It was running late and my sister said she needed to take care of something. I told her I was at work and was planning on picking up my son and working from home for the rest of the day. The doctors were on the other side of the city. I agreed, but was livid. Yesterday, I went to pick up my mother's purse from my sister. My mum forgot it in her car. My sister, her soon-to-be ex-husband, kids, parent-in-laws, and her friend in her living room. I sarcastically asked what was so important that she had to abandon our mum at our doctor's, and she said she had an emergency. I replied, "You alcoholic housewives always have some kind of emergency when family needs you." People in the room looked away, and my sister just stood there, speechless, for the first time in years. Lol. Edit. My frustration wasn't about her ditching our mother. My issue is that it caused a massive inconvenience at my expense at the last minute with no sort of apology or explanation. It was disrespectful. I dished back what she dished out. Going through a divorce and getting out of rehab doesn't give you a pass for being an a-hole. This just seems so overly confident and unforgiving. I really can't see a universe in which you don't think you're the a-hole. I feel like you feel good that you're just writing all of this, that you gave yourself excuses to bag out your mother and then yell at your sister, who you know was coming from rehab and is trying to get sobriety. This feels like a first world problem here. This isn't really a problem. I get that you're frustrated, and I get that she's inconveniencing you, and I get that your mum annoys you, but what you've said in front of everyone is disgusting, and I would never do something like that. I can't imagine the pain that your sister is feeling now that you've said that in front of everyone. Just going by their reactions, you obviously hit a nerve, and you're an a-hole. There's nothing to say to that. You're the a-hole. You took your frustrations with your mother out on your sister and managed to call out a newly sober person in front of her children, ex, and in-laws, when you knew her addiction was a touchy subject. You owe your sister a huge, huge apology. Agreed. How dare he mock her sobriety in such an ignorant way? Edited to correct spelling mistakes, and I am 7.5 years sober. I know how this disease takes away your dignity and sense of self-worth. A big F you to OP. People in the room looked away, and my sister just stood there speechless for the first time in years, lol. Seems like you feel proud of this comment, so I'm struggling to believe you actually want any real feedback, and instead, you wanted validation and e-cred for your remark. But I'll play. You're the a-hole. You made it very clear that no matter what, your mother annoys you, so anything to do with her, you are going to view as an inconvenience. Instead of being an adult and asking like a normal person what your sister's issue was and giving her time to answer, you just gave her a setup so you could unload the cross you bore all day in your martyrdom of helping your mother. You know you were the a-hole and you don't care. They probably looked away out of horror and embarrassment for OP. What an unnecessarily cruel thing to say. And for OP to feel so positively proud of himself. I'm embarrassed for him. Major, you're the a-hole. You're the a-hole. You started out by telling us that your mother is the bane of your existence and costs you time and money, even though the only thing she appears to have done in this post is have surgery. And while your sister is chronically unhelpful, calling her an alcoholic in front of her entire family, including her children, and using the term housewife in a derogatory way was not your finest moment. If you have reason to believe she has relapsed, asking her to take your mother to a doctor's appointment seems ill-advised in the first place. Posted by user, Am I the A-hole bad parent? Titled, Am I the a-hole for not convincing my daughter to give bone marrow to her brother? Long story short, my ex-wife and I were married for 7 years. We split up because she had bad mental health issues that led to her repeatedly cheating on me with a coworker. I got full custody of our daughter because my ex-wife tried to kidnap her and drive into a ditch whilst intoxicated. My ex-wife has never paid the court-mandated child support, and I never pursued it because I make a significant amount of money at my job and she is unemployed. We split 11 years ago, and our daughter is now 17. My ex-wife made no attempt to stay in contact. She got with the guy she had been seeing, and they had a son together shortly after we divorced. About 3 months ago, my ex-wife contacted me to say that my daughter wasn't actually mine. She was the product of the affair with the guy she is now married to, and that my daughter needed to donate bone marrow to her brother. I refused. She contacted our daughter by showing up at school, and when our daughter refused to talk to her, she's unhappy that after all this time, her mom only shows up when she wants something. My ex escalated to screaming at her about being ungrateful for being alive. Our daughter came home very upset and broke down about how upset she was that her mum never reached out to her after the split, and how now the only reason she's contacted us is because she needs something. As a result of how upset she was, I have gotten legal advice. My ex-wife is having a meltdown over Facebook because I won't force our daughter to talk to her or donate bone marrow. Am I the a-hole here? How are you an a-hole for not forcing her to donate bone marrow? Am I reading this correctly? Is the world gone insane? Are we really guilt-tripping and forcing 17-year-olds to donate bone marrow? Because that's not a world that I want to live in. I'm gonna go with not the a-hole on this one. There's no reason to dissect this entire story. The main point is the bone marrow. So yeah, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. I doubt everything your wife said about your daughter not being yours because I don't believe her if she's half-siblings with the boy. She might not even be a match is even high chance. Even if they have full siblings, it's 25% chance that they match. Anyways, it's her body, and if she doesn't want to donate and go through all that, she doesn't have to. Your ex-wife has no right to tell her what to do with her body, just like you have no right to force her to donate. Not sure about that DNA test. If it indeed turns out that the daughter is not his, that will maybe make unnecessary wounds. She will always be his daughter, DNA or not. It's a personal decision for sure, but it might be a good idea to know because it does appear some health conditions may run on the affair partner's side. My dad got with my mom when she was pregos with me, and he's always treated me as one of his own. I'd even go as far to say that I was the favorite out of my dad's kids, but I think that may be due to him only seeing me on weekends, and that I was the role model and supervisor for his other kids, which I didn't mind at all, by the way. I was considerably older than them, it made sense. Not the a-hole. Pretty sure there are laws around forcing organ and blood donation. It's her body and her choice. As her parents, it's your job to support that. You are being a good dad by protecting her body autonomy. I agree in full, though the title is a bit awkward because that makes it seem as though he was convincing her not to do it instead of not forcing her. Not the a-hole. 1. F a parent who only comes around when they need something. 2. Being blood related does not guarantee a donor match. 3. Nobody can force anyone to give any body parts. The donor has to give informed consent. And at 17, she can refuse privately to the doctor without anyone else finding out why she was an incompatible donor, in the US at least. And 4, children are not an insurance policy, retirement plan, or a health plan. You made the kid, you are responsible for his or her care. If another kid wants to donate, by all means. But I don't think it's even appropriate to ask someone so young, let alone throw a guilt trip at them. Posted by a deleted user. Titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to apologize when I was technically in the wrong? My mother-in-law is married to a man who was born in Iran, and they go once or twice a year to see his family. They have a daughter who turned 13 the other day, and mother-in-law wished her a happy birthday on social media. She included a couple of pictures, and in one of the pictures, mother-in-law and her daughter were both wearing head coverings. That bothered me. Sister-in-law absolutely has the right to wear one, but mother-in-law is white, and I felt like she was using it as a fashion statement, and kind of showing off. I sent her a private message that I felt like she was appropriating her husband and daughter's culture, and her reply was, their culture? You mean the culture of not wanting to go to jail because it's illegal in Iran for a woman to not have their hair covered? Yeah, I suck for not wanting to get arrested, and my husband is Jewish, idiot. So that isn't even his culture. Fudging unbelievable. Okay, I looked into it, and she is right. She was following a law, and it is a religious thing, not just an Iranian thing. My husband says that I should apologize, which I find ironic, because he doesn't even like his mother. I said I would only apologize for my mistake if she apologized for how incredibly rude and condescending her reply was. Ah yes, I don't have to apologize to someone who was rightfully angry at me when I tried to call them out on something. Ah yes, they were mean to me, so I'm validated in my anger and not giving them an apology myself. Because they were mean. Ah, terrible. I really can't be sure how many redeeming characteristics and qualities you have, OP, because you just sound like a complainer looking for a fight. And you got a fight. And now you're too up yourself to apologize. Obviously, she won't apologize for how incredibly rude and condescending, quote-unquote, she was, because she was right, and I'd be angry if I was her too. You're the a-hole, get over yourself. You're the a-hole, and you were rude to assume she was appropriating a culture instead of either doing your research or minding your damn business. You owe her an apology, and you're the a-hole double for refusing on a basis of her getting offended by your offensive statement. Edit. And I love that you needed to say technically wrong. You were wrong in every way. Not just that she was legally obligated to do it, but wrong in that it's none of your business, and you need to stop judging people. You're the a-hole. How can you not apologize? Because she's a narcissist. I did something wrong, but you hurt my feelings in the way you pointed out I was wrong, and those two things were at least equal. If not the latter being worse, is a classic narcissist framing. Bingo, this is exactly right. If she's a narcissist, then you play the grey rock game. My mother was a narcissist, and I learned to be boring, unengaging, and not call attention to myself long before the internet taught it to me. Attempting to call her out shows either you don't think she's a narcissist, or maybe you are one too. If you legit think she is and you aren't, read up on grey rock. It can change your life for the better. You're the a-hole, you were wrong, apologize. Who cares if you don't like mother-in-law? You lambasted her for something you now realize you shouldn't have, and I am sure your tone was not perfect when you did so. But now you won't apologize for being patently wrong because you don't like the way she corrected you? If you want to play with a rebuttal, please reply back with the private message you sent her, verbatim with no edits, before we take her response's tone into consideration to give you a pass for being wrong and not apologizing. Posted by user, Am I the a-hole? Oui, le cuj. Titled, Am I the a-hole for deliberately making my autistic brother have a meltdown and letting my mother deal with him for hours? Edit, I cannot change the title. To clarify, I didn't cause the meltdown, but I didn't help and I definitely made it worse. My 17 female, elder brother, 21 male, is autistic. He also has OCD. My mum obviously spends more time on him and gives him a lot of leeway, which I don't get. And I completely understand that. I know he can't help it, but he doesn't have any empathy. I get that it's hard for him to control himself, and he has a lot of meltdowns, but, however, he never shows any remorse or want to change. He expects everyone to accommodate him. He feels entitled to our time and attention, and that makes it hard for me to love and care about him. One thing he absolutely hates is when someone walks away from him while he is talking. The quarantine has been very difficult for everyone. My brother likes routine, and obviously a lot of that routine had to change. I have to be inside the house all the time, and it's not making the house any peaceful. Last week was a bad week. It was one tantrum after the other. He was screaming so loudly that I wasn't able to attend most of my online classes for the entire week. The most ridiculous thing happened over dinner one day. I like spicy food, he doesn't. So my mum cooks food without much spices, and I just add them later. He was throwing a tantrum when I wanted to add chili flakes to my dish. My mum told me to eat the dish as it is. While I was closing the shaker, I sneezed twice. He had the worst meltdown I have ever seen. He demanded that I sneeze again to make it right. He has OCD regarding the numbers 1, 3, 5, 10. I'm pretty sure that my face looked as comically incredulous as I felt. It's not like I can make myself sneeze on purpose. I could have just fake sneezed, and maybe this would have been over, but this was so ridiculous that I couldn't do anything but scoff. Naturally, that made things worse. His meltdown got worse, and he opened the pepper shaker and threw the contents at me. Now my eyes are burning, and I started to sneeze uncontrollably. My mum is trying her best to calm him down. Now, he is demanding that I stop sneezing. I am more than ticked off now, and I walked to my room, slammed the door, and bolted it. I will admit, partially I did it because I wanted to wash my face. Mostly I did it because he hates it. He started banging on my door, and my mum also is just asking me to open the door and talk to him. I refused to. I could hear him outside my door for at least 4 hours after that, along with my mum trying to calm him and begging me to open the door. I could have helped out my mum, but I have had enough, and I didn't feel sorry for her either. In fact, I felt a tiny bit satisfied. The next day, my mum asked me to apologize and talk to him, and when I didn't, she punished me by taking away my games and removed the lock from my door. I told her that I'll lock myself in the bathroom next time, and told her that she and my brother are never going to see me the second I turn 18. Am I the a-hole for purposefully making my brother's meltdown worse? Am I the a-hole for not being least bit sympathetic towards him or my mother? The fact that you're putting your intentions down here and being as transparent as possible is actually a really good sign, and, we do say that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Obviously, you've not had the best intentions throughout this entire experience. You've lived an entire lifetime so far with these two, and I can't blame you for being at the end of your tether. I do think you should be nicer to him because we obviously don't know this person, and you do need to be nice to people that don't have much control over themselves. I guess in situations like this where they're having meltdowns, they can't particularly control themselves, I would assume. But really this strikes me as sibling rivalry, and people do this all the time. I think I can give you a little bit of a pass on that one. But at the end of the day, I don't know, you're reacting as you are. I don't think you're an a-hole for this one. I think it's a natural reaction to everything going on in the world, and whatever dynamic is going on at home. I don't fully understand it, but it's good that you've been transparent. Gonna go with not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, he made choices, you can't control your bodily functions. And if slamming a door sets him off, stiff crap. Throwing pepper in my face would set me off. And your mother removing your lock and allowing a violent family member access to you? Nah, get the hell out of there ASAP. Right, like being autistic means we are more sensitive to certain things, not that we are the only ones who can be set off by something, especially abusive behavior. Being neurotypical doesn't mean someone is able to keep calm when they are being antagonized. And most autistic people won't resort to assaulting their siblings, even during a breakdown. This crap is whack. Mine does, and my family has put up with it for nearly 30 years. I'm pretty much low contact due to it. I mean this in the most respectful way, but someone has been enabling this behavior for years. When dealing with stubborn children and dogs, my philosophy is, don't negotiate with terrorists. Or wait until they are calm and can be rational before you talk to them and find a solution. I'm aware that autism can cause problems with that, but it should have been a life skill that a parent taught while the child was still small. You can't always have things your way, and sometimes we have to cope with our reactions. Wish you the best. So that's not the right way to deal with behaviors related to autism, but you are correct in saying that there are things that can be done to mitigate or change those behaviors. This can absolutely be the way to deal with behaviors relating to autism. Depends entirely on the cause, the individual, and those around, mind you. But it can be a great way to deal with them when paired with other methods like plenty of rewards and teaching them the ability to communicate what they want, etc. Source: worked as a behavioral therapist, tutor to children with behavioral issues, and aunt to a high-functioning ASD kid. Okay, and I think that's where we're going to end today's episode, guys. As always, I do hope you enjoyed it, and maybe even learned something from these stories. Just want to say a quick shout out to my Patreon subscribers and my channel members. You guys should be on the screen right now. If you do see yourself, I want you to give yourself a little pat on the back for being amazing and supporting me on this channel, this little journey we're going on the YouTubes. I really appreciate it, and you guys enabled me to do all this amazing work. So if you do see yourself, I love your face and I'm happy to see you. Also guys, if you want to pitch in your own support, you don't have to, but channel links are down in the description below to support the Patreon, the channel membership, whatever you want to do. It's kind of like tipping me if you feel like I'm doing a good job on this channel. I will be opening up avenues for content on those in the future. Just right now I'm kind of bogged down and stuck in Ireland, but you know, it is what it is. Anyway guys, with that said, I do hope you have a wonderful day today. Whatever you're up to, I'd love to know down in the comments below. I do hope you have a good day, night, sleep. Whatever you're up to today, tell me, and I'll see you in the next episode, guys. Bye.